What is going on, YouTube universe? Welcome to the Hip and Shoulder, and being the fact that it's a new week, it is that time again. It is tip time. Some people pay extra for the tips, so consider yourselves lucky, you're getting this one for free. Before we lock in our tips for the upcoming round, we always reflect on the round that was, and I actually had a pretty okay round 3, considering round 2 was, I don't want to talk about it. I tipped 6 out of 8, the first of 2 blemishes coming on Thursday night. I tipped Port Adelaide by 26 points, Essendon running away with a 12-point win. It was a great win by them, very ugly game of football, very scrappy. They just found avenues to goal, and I honestly thought they wouldn't. Port Adelaide, on the other hand, Cotton Rosé couldn't get into the game. Horn Francis looked disinterested. It was like an anomaly. It was like a blip on their radar. They played such great football against Richmond the week prior and threw the baby out with the bathwater the following week. I don't understand. But Essendon picking up their first win of the season and diving? I thought I was going to say dishing me up, but then I went with giving, and we landed on diving. They gave me my first loss for the weekend, which was very unfortunate. But we started getting on a bit of a hot streak after that, because we did tip the Bulldogs to defeat Carlton in a great game of football. Gold Coast, we tipped Melbourne. I thought they had the edge. I didn't think they'd have the edge by almost 10 goals. This is ridiculous what's happening to Melbourne this year. And on the flip side, Gold Coast are looking scary good. I'm a little bit concerned about the damage they can do this year. St Kilda absolutely flogged Richmond. And I said it last week, as a Richmond supporter, I think many of us went into this year expecting 10-plus goal losses. We were in this game at halftime by 8 points, and just everything went to shit after that. So it was a great half of football to watch, and the spirit was there by many, but we fell by the wayside of 80 odd points, and it didn't feel good. We tipped GWS to defeat Hawthorn, and they went off to a red-hot start, and I thought we had another tip in the bag, but the Hollywood Hawks, they kept on coming, and Hawkball was well and truly alive. They got the job done in the end in close quarters by, again, 12 points. Great game of football. Hawthorn sitting on top of the ladder, undefeated after 3 rounds of football. Brisbane, speaking of undefeated, they are still undefeated as well, with Geelong starting this game off a little bit strong, and it's a similar kind of process we've seen from Brisbane this year. They allow their opponents to get the early jump, and then they claw it back in. They managed to escape with a 9-point victory, and Geelong in back-to-back weeks fall by under 10 points. Adelaide, in Adelaide Oval, again undefeated and putting in a monster score. This is an Adelaide team that is kicked over 100 points in every game they have played this year. Hawthorn, Brisbane, Adelaide, all sitting undefeated on top of the ladder in first, second and third respectively, having huge years. And Fremantle picking up their first win, huge scalp over the West Coast. Watching Harley Reid rather try to start spot fires than fucking get a clearance or get his hands on the ball is something that is becoming very West Coast coded this year. So unfortunate for the West Coast fans, another derby down the drain, but Fremantle getting on the board. And as I said, I had those 2 blemishes. I had 6 out of 8. But when we turn the attention to the overall competition, ladies and gentlemen, we had 2 perfect rounds tipped by Nato and Dan Cash, 2 supporters of the channel that have been around for a very long time, even back when I was doing this over on my gaming channel. So congratulations to Nathan and Daniel for taking out the most correct amount of tips this week with perfect rounds. And then reflecting on the overall competition, JazzSky13 is still sitting in first position on 23 total tips, leading Skyvo on 22, Gramercy Riffs 78, Nado, Macca0303, Murdoch H, Charles Lowe, Princess Cahill, and Team Wiggles, all respectively in third place on 21 tips total. So JazzSky13, another round on top. Congratulations. Before we move on to my tips for the round, if you want to get on board the tipping competition, there is still plenty of time to do so. Costs you absolutely nothing. Get on board. Let's have some banter together. There's a link in the description of this video. Click on it. It'll take you to the league competitions page. There is a league code pasted down below in the description as well. Take it, pump it into the search bar. You search for it. It's going to take you to my league. You click join. Easy as pie. Get on board. I'm hoping to expand this to 100 players by the end of the year. 47 is where we're at currently, and is the biggest tipping comp that we have had on the hip and shoulder to date. So I do appreciate everybody that's gotten on board so far. Let's see if we can make it a little bit bigger. Now it is time for round 4. Bearing in mind it is another early bye round. No Essendon, no Hawthorn playing this week. Action kicks off on Thursday night with a huge grudge match. Collingwood, Carlton, MCG. It is going to pop off. We have Carlton searching still for their first win of the season. Collingwood, however, still hanging in the top 8. They've played 3 games. They've walked away with 2 wins. They're looking pretty flash so far. Can they land themselves another victory? Or is Carlton here to upset the party? I think Collingwood are going to win this one. And I'm going to back them in by, let's go 17 points. I like the teens this year. I shouldn't have said that. That sounds fucking atrocious. We're going with 17 points. I just feel collectively Collingwood is better. We don't know what the fuck's going on with Harry Mackay. Charlie Curnow is 100% undercooked and playing well before he should be. Sam Walsh is a shadow of his former self. Patrick Cripps is starting to have, back problems because he's carrying this team on his own. Sam de Koning is coming up against a solid ruckman in Darcy Cameron. I really think this forward line that Collingwood have can get the jump on Carlton's defence, especially with how shaky they have been the first 3 weeks. So the Pies get it done on Thursday night for me. On Friday night, GMHBA Stadium, Geelong taking on Melbourne. All but a formality here. Geelong back at home are going to defeat Melbourne quite comfortably. I don't know what is going on with Melbourne. There is definitely something in the waters. I don't think Simon Goodwin will be coached by the end of the year. Max Gawn is seemingly very tight-lipped about a lot of things happening internally. Christian Petrarca's body language last week showed a lot of people that maybe he's checked out. So, Christian Petrarca, Clayton Oliver. Could there be links to Petrarca going to Collingwood and Oliver landing at Geelong like there have been during the preseason? Is Cozzy Pickett off to Fremantle? I think we're about to see the dismantlement of the Melbourne Football Club come the end of the 2025 season, and Geelong are going to add to their woes by picking up a very healthy win on Friday night. Saturday afternoon, People's First Stadium. This game is going to be a fucking cracker. We have the Gold Coast taking on the Adelaide Crows. Now, Gold Coast, I failed to mention this before when I was recapping round 3. Gold Coast are undefeated as well, because Gold Coast have only played 2 games so far. There have been effectively, if you include round 0, there have been 4 rounds of football go down. And Gold Coast have appeared in 2 of those 4. They were supposed to play, obviously, during round 0, but the hurricane dismantled that, and, their game's going to get relocated to a different point in the year. But they've played 2 games. From those 2 games, they've had 2 wins. Adelaide have also been undefeated this year, but they have played 3 games so far. So this is 2 teams wanting to keep their ledger clean. It is at People's First Stadium, and the Gold Coast last year were impossible to defeat at People's First. But if there's a team that can do it this year, I feel there's something about this Adelaide team that can really do some damage. I don't know how to tip here. This game, to me, is more line ball than 70-30. I can't believe that it's the percentage is that split. I'm going to have to go with the Gold Coast at People's First, just because history dictates when they play there, they're just going to pick up a win. But do not discredit Adelaide at all. If there is a team to do it, Adelaide is the team to do it. I feel this is a genuine coin flip of a game. At the MCG Saturday afternoon, Richmond is playing host to Brisbane. Sorry, Richmond. As much as I would love to tip you, Brisbane gets the job done here. However, Richmond could do Richmond things. Brisbane could do Brisbane things. Brisbane could rock up to the MCG expecting a win, and Richmond just do what they did to Carlton. Not out of the realm of possibility, because we have seen it done before. I just want to see a competitive game out of my boys this week. We're already up against it with some off-field kind of stuff that is going on and having to deal with the Ryan Mansell situation and everything else, so we're going to be pretty distracted for most of this week, but I just want to see the young kids have a crack. It's what it's been about for me all year this year so far, so as long as they go out and they have a solid run, I'm happy. But Brisbane, if they don't win this by 60 points, there's something incredibly wrong. Saturday night at Marvel Stadium, just up the road, we have North Melbourne hosting Sydney. I am going to go Sydney here, but North Melbourne at Marvel, don't rule them out here for an upset win. I feel they have it in them. They are showing glimpses. They had a very good game against the Bulldogs. They were still very good against Adelaide on the weekend, and then obviously they absolutely picked apart Melbourne the week prior. Don't rule them out here, but I think Sydney gets the job done. GWS West Coast Sunday afternoon at NG Stadium. GWS get back on the winners board at home here. Sorry, West Coast, but it's starting to become increasingly difficult to see where West Coast are going to win their first game. Maybe it's up against Richmond. Who fucking knows? But GWS at home, with the likes of Stringer and Hogan now back in the team, lock it in. Lock it in is almost a certainty. Adelaide Oval sees Port Adelaide hosting St Kilda. I think Port Adelaide back at home, they're going to do well. They're going to eat St Kilda up. I don't think St Kilda are going to travel very well here. And the final game of the round sees Fremantle hosting the Bulldogs at Optus Stadium, with Fremantle going in as heavy favourites here. I'm actually inclined to look at the Bulldogs for the win. I'm going to go an upset at Optus Stadium. I'm going to go with the Dogs. The Dogs look good, and they're looking good without Adam Treloar, without Marcus Bontempelli, without Jamara Ugle-Hagan. Those are some headliner names for the Bulldogs, and they're just finding ways to get it done. So recapping, Collingwood, Geelong, Gold Coast, Brisbane, Sydney, GWS, Port Adelaide, and the Bulldogs are where we are landing this week. Hopefully, this is the beginning of me turning my tipping fortunes around. Again, if you want to get involved in my tipping comp, link is in the description. Click on it, follow the instructions, jump on board. I'd appreciate it if you did. Do leave a like on this video if you've been enjoying the content I put out as well. It does help myself out immensely, and I appreciate you all for that support. And if you would like to support me further and longer, you can hit that subscribe button, get on board the community we are building here. We are now over 100 subscribers. Thank you all so much for that. Let's start the climb to 1,000. It begins here. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here. Good luck to your teams this weekend, provided you don't follow Hawthorn or Essendon, of course. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.